To episode 2 of
Sent to the Office, episode 2.
That's not what I was going to say.
Working title, Adventures of Tremendous Fat Ass.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
The jury's still out, but there's definitely more support for
There's a lot of
Sent
support
to
for
the
that.
Office.
There's a lot of support for that. But, you know, we're going to go with what we got so far. As our listeners can see, we have upgraded.
Yes.
We're no longer voices in the wilderness, literally.
Yeah.
Talking into your cell phone.
I'll tell you what, I ran home after the gym and took a quick shower. There's no way we could have done it on my deck tonight.
No?
Because after that rain, the tree frogs are just
Yeah.
deafening.
But I wouldn't have heard them. But they would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't hear the crickets in the background. But
Molly complained about the
okay.
noises of the bugs. So
Oh, yeah?
I just want to be real clear. That's not why we bought all this equipment, Molly.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Molly, the counselor from the Harbor program at the Southeast
Yes.
Boca. Okay.
She's
I was just
the
making
best,
sure
best counselor.
you
ever.
weren't referring to your dog, Molly, who is suddenly talking to you.
No.
Son of Sam. I was concerned about that. Okay. Well, anyway, this is episode 2. My son Cade is the technical engineer.
Yes.
He's decided that we need microphones and a camera. And
Big thank you to Cade.
And my other son Beck is he's our key
Is
grip.
Cade still here? I asked Cade earlier if there was a way. You know, I listened to that last one. Okay,
Right.
Something jumped out at me.
Okay.
My voice is a little bit not as masculine as
bit.
old junkyard dog over here. Oh, Joel Shooty. I mean, can maybe Cade play with that? You know, give me a little bass. Okay.
Give your nuts a tug, Dan.
Oh, yeah. Jeesh. And by the way, I thought we were going to do a few episodes and then I didn't know we were throwing the whole thing out there.
We're throwing it out there.
Yeah.
440 views.
We are just going to be
Flying.
so
And what did we say in the first episode? Or after the first episode, I said if we have 24 views, I'd be shocked.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But, you know, I don't know how many of those 440 are listening to the whole thing. Maybe they checked in for 2 minutes, said this sucks, and I'm done with it. But we also have 28 subscribers, I think, and
Wow.
like 15
Well, let's
thumbs
talk
up.
about some cool stuff so that they'll keep listening.
Yeah, I'd like to.
I want to talk about, because I know a lot of people that did listen to it and hopefully will be listening to it. We have kids.
Right.
And our kids' first day of school is coming up.
First day of school.
Yeah.
First day of school, and we know it's the first day of school coming up because the fair just ended.
Yes.
That's the way it works in Iowa.
Yes.
Did you go to the fair, Danny?
I went East Side Friday night. They don't start the music till I show up, Joel.
Was our friend Kelly Brinker there, the queen of East Side Night?
I'm sure she was, but
You didn't see her?
It's getting, yeah.
She's the
a
one that
sea of
usually has
people.
about 50 people around her, and she's holding
She probably
court.
got in a fight.
Probably did, and I bet she won too.
Yes.
I bet she won. I went to the fair last night, the only time, and went to a show because I don't like the fair, Dan. Not a big
Yeah.
fan of the fair.
Didn't you have a job at the fair?
I did have a job at the fair when I was in
Yeah.
my 20s. I was grandstand security. So, you know, I did security for all the concerts there. Mm-hmm. Did that for a couple, 3 years, and that was a lot of fun.
I feel like there was some fraud involved. Didn't you have to lie about your age or something?
Oh, no, my first job. Yes, that's a good, thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
is this, wait though, statute of limitations?
No, I'm fine. I think I'm
Okay.
fine. Yeah, when I was
cool.
when I was 12, I went to the fairgrounds with my older brother's ID,
12 years old.
and he was 14.
Tremendous fat ass.
I
This
was
is
a big boy at
the
12.
upside though.
I was a big boy at 12. Well, I went there with his ID, and I applied for a job, and I got the job. And it was at the restaurant. It was something the World Buffet, but it's where Jalapeno Pete is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me a job washing dishes. And, you know, Dan, I don't know if you know my name is Joel, and my brother's name is John, or was, you know, my brother's
Yes.
passed, but his name was John. And because I applied for a job with his ID, everybody thought my name was John. So they would basically scream to me while I was washing dishes for 14 hours, John, just, you know, and I would not answer because that's not my name, Dan. And so I told them that I was almost deaf
Yes.
which is interesting because now I am almost
It
deaf,
is
and at the time
interesting.
I wasn't.
Very interesting.
Is that karma? I don't know. Did I jinx myself?
No,
So
I
then
don't
after
think so.
that, they did the old where they come up in my face and they'd go, "Joel, can you go and empty, like the stupid ASL that they don't even know and I don't know?"
Yeah.
And I would like nod, like, "Oh yeah, okay,"
You
and-
should have just started flipping it back at him, As long as you end it with a J.
Right, yeah, that makes it
just
better.
Be like, but
Yeah, I worked 9 days at the fair.
Hey.
And made $1.25 an hour, buddy.
have you thought about taking any sign language classes at some
Have
point?
considered it. We did sign up for a class, Marna and I.
I'll
but,
do one with you.
We had to back out of it because of Beck's basketball schedule, I think. So, but we'll sign up for one.
I don't know if it'd be a good idea for you and I to take one
No,
together.
no, it should separate us. How do you say Jack? How do you say? No, whatever. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure that we would want that. That reminds me, of my French class in
that'd be-
college. So,
Oh yeah.
want to know how to say, chicken, poulet, and poop, merde, and put all those things together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've considered it, and it's something that, but the problem with that is that would help Marta and I communicate if and when I go deaf, but no one else would know it. So I guess Marta and I could talk, but, my kids wouldn't be able to.
I got kicked out of French class.
I know you got kicked out of French class. I know.
I'm ashamed.
Well, don't be. I did too, man.
Hence, we ended that last episode with Géant Grand Crayon. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the fair, just to put a lid on the fair, I just got to say that when you live on the east side, like we do, I mean, we're in the shadow of the east side. We're in Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
But we can kind of smell the east side. I shouldn't say that.
I was east side before it was east side.
Right. We are technically the east side because we're in the Des Moines East District. So the traffic during the fair is, after 18 years, I could do without it.
Yeah.
I kind of made a mental top 10 of all the things I hate about the fair. Although I did have a good time last night going to the Hootie the Blowfish concert.
Yeah.
Bare Naked Ladies opened up and they were fantastic.
I saw you busted out the what was the cologne you wore?
Yeah, Dracar Noir. I've got it sitting there anytime you want to use it. You
Dude,
can come
those
over.
things turn, man.
No,
you were
it still
wearing
smells great.
vinegar.
It's
You were
still-
wearing vinegar.
No, it still smells great. It's bewitching.
You know how good I smell
I
right
know.
now. I put an extra squirt on in case Marna wanted a hug.
For our listeners, just so you know, whenever Dan comes over to our house, he's got a special cologne that 5 years ago my wife told him smelled nice.
I
So
think she
whenever he
said
comes over here, he's
delicious.
always
Actually, delicious is the word she said.
he's bathed in this cologne because he thinks it's scored points with my wife, and maybe it does. Whatever. At this point,
I'm sure the Dracar works.
Well, she's the one that bought the Dracar for me 20 years ago, and it still works.
But you know what's weird about the fair that I do like is when I go there, there's always the same feeling I get there. I think that's what
Indigestion.
what keeps them coming back, Like my brother, he'll go every day. He loves the fair.
I don't get it.
A lot of people do.
I don't get it.
A lot of people love the fair.
I have a cousin who, Jason, who I love, great guy.
Yeah.
Drives a couple hours and spends from like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the fair for a day, and I just don't get it. But he loves it. He gets off on it. His kids seem to love it. I can't even imagine dragging my kids to the fair for an hour.
Oh my God.
They would hate it.
You couldn't afford to feed them.
No, I couldn't afford it. You're right. I don't know what Beck. He went to the fair with his buddies, and I don't know how much he spent on food, but it had to be a ridiculous amount. But that's also in my top 10 of things I hate about the fair. We had cheese curds, $8 last night. Yeah, I like cheese. Oh, you don't like cheese curds? I like cheese curds. They're okay.
It rhymes with turds, Joel.
Yeah. Well, but
How can you eat something that rhymes with turds?
I don't know. I did. It's still,
It's cheese turds. It might as well be the same.
I just don't like a lot of. I don't like a lot of people. I don't like crowds, and I
It's real
especially
feel
don't.
good.
I especially don't like meandering.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody at the fair is doing. They're walking turtle slow and looking around at
Yeah.
things. And I feel like whenever I walk, I'm on a mission. I'm trying
Yeah.
to weave through them, and it's
Yeah.
irritating me. And so I just rather not be irritated.
I totally agree.
But so
But the concert was cool.
Concert was great. Hootie the Blowfish was a band that I really enjoyed in the '90s and still enjoy. But I wore out a cassette and I wore out a CD back in the '90s. Played it so much, and they might be a band that some people make fun of, but it was a band that I liked when I was 25 or whatever, and
Yeah.
it was fun to see them. So it was a good time.
The music is right in there with the fair, the way it brings back those memories, you
Right.
know. We need to have a music part of this where,
Yeah.
people can put on music that they remember from a
Sure.
certain time of their life.
Yep.
Because there's those one songs that you hear and all of a
Right.
sudden it takes you back somewhere.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yep. That's kind of go back to episode 1. All the places I moved, that's how I kind of mark time in my head, because I'll hear a song on the radio. Oh, Caught Up in You, 38 Special. I lived in Gulfport, Mississippi when that came out,
Oh, wow.
and that's how I do it, because I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, that's another one of those things, like we were talking about in the last episode, how people really can't fathom moving that many times.
Right,
And
right.
that's part of it. Like the memory of which school you were at when
Right.
it would all just start to go together.
Right,
So, and I
right.
know how much music's a part of your life,
Yep.
and so it makes sense that
Yep.
you use that as a tool
Yep.
to kind of put that all together.
Be a
That's
good idea
pretty
to talk
cool.
about that at another episode. Maybe we could get our listeners involved. And
Yeah,
I like
well,
talking music, man. I like music. So
Yeah, we've
I don't
done
have
some
any
cool
skills.
things with music at the harbor.
Yeah.
There was had a deal where I had students put together a slideshow using their social media, Facebook, whatever they had in their phone, and they could choose like 4 songs, but they had to break it down to 30 seconds of each song,
Right.
and then decide which pictures go where.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it was for us to get to know each other.
Right. Explain the significance of the song to their life, maybe,
Yeah,
and explain it to
Because the
everyone
sooner
else.
I can get the students to really know each other and know me, and I get to know them, then everything gets better.
Right.
Because
Right.
I believe it's impossible to like hate someone when you really know them,
Right.
and
Right.
or even dislike them.
Right.
But the more you know them, the more you'll like them.
Right.
You may not like some of their actions, but it's a difference when, let's say there's a guy and he's if you didn't know him, he's an asshole.
Right. Right.
But when you talk to his friends who know he's an asshole, they don't say, "Oh yeah, they'll go, "Oh yeah, that's kind of how he is," and they'll explain why he gets that way.
Sure.
Right. It's because
Because
they
they have
know
that background.
him. They
Right.
know him.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, our listeners might not know that you are a teacher in the alternative program at Southeast Polk.
yes.
And I think we touched on that a little bit in episode 1, but you teach language arts for high school students, and the Harbor program was its own standalone building up until 2012, when Southeast Polk had a budget crisis and decided. I'm going to be as gentle as I can here. Decided to jerk the rug right under 50 students who were doing well. But, they're marginalized kids. Who
That
cares,
really
right? Who
didn't
cares?
come off gentle.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't. I know. I'm sorry. I'm very biased. But so our building, which, by the way, was so good
Yeah.
at that time. We were humming.
Well, and
The
thing-
staff was humming.
When he says good, he doesn't mean structurally. But what you mean is our program.
Our
And-
program was outstanding.
Yeah.
Kid,
and
it was
it's
successful.
still great.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about that building that, to me, it made it easier for them to establish a new identity.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
But we still do that.
Right.
When they come into the program, they get a shirt that says the Harbor, and it's got their name on it.
Right.
And or sometimes we do the name, sometimes we don't.
I want to segue there because I remember when I started at the Harbor in 2006, we introduced the idea of a Harbor T-shirt. I don't know if you remember this, and there was a person who was in charge of signing off on expenditures who originally did not want to sign off on that did not want to spend the $200 or whatever so all of our students could get a shirt, and he or she felt that that our students would not want to wear a shirt that said Harbor Alternative on it.
Oh yeah.
That he
Yeah.
or she felt that they would be too embarrassed. And it was really hard to convince that person that no, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Our students feel a sense of ownership and they are proud.
They wear it all the time.
Yeah, and so it was really, and then
Well, a lot of them, not all, but I mean, some of these kids they haven't been on a little league baseball team or
Right.
softball team,
Right.
to have that feeling. So anyway, they're part of something,
Right.
something that's bigger than themselves.
Sure.
That's important.
And I think the embarrassment is more of a reflection of the other people and
Yeah.
their perception of alternative
Well,
ed.
it's
Because a lot of
that-
people perceive alternative ed as being lesser and being for screw ups and being for. I heard it all, man, over the years. When I'd have a meeting with a parent, maybe your son or daughter should come to the Harbor. They're struggling in school. Their grades aren't very good, or their attendance isn't very good, or they're behind in credits. And I used to hear that all the time. This sense of shame from
Yeah.
these parents that just could not, get it out of their head.
They don't want to
that-
concede. They
Yeah,
feel
it
like
was a
it's
failure,
yeah.
and,
well,
you
that's
know.
just the
Right.
it's we all look at it through our own lens, but it all comes down to empathy, though.
Right.
If the person who thought that they would be embarrassed really knew the way that person feels, that student,
Right.
they would know.
Right.
And that's the key. So
Sure.
empathy is the key, I think.
Right.
And so I'm good at, we all have our strengths.
Sure.
Mine is definitely, I would say, relationship building.
Yep.
Maybe not so much with the organization,
Right. Right.
But
No, and I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, Dan, but I had a say in hiring people over the years for the Harbor and for the high school, and I got to say hiring you was the best call I made, and I'm not just saying that because you're here.
yeah,
But I always felt that, with the alternative program in particular, the most important trait of a teacher is one who can connect with the kids.
yeah,
And then everything else will fall in line. You could have a teacher with the most content area knowledge, the most skilled in teaching strategies, and it doesn't make a bit of difference, man, if they can't connect.
Right.
Those,
Well,
particularly with
our clientele,
yeah,
for
with
sure.
at-risk students.
yeah. I was
because-
thinking about that because, it would be impossible for someone who has 30 students and then another 30 and then another
Right.
30. Now,
To
that-
connect on your level.
Right.
Right.
But as much as it's in my wheelhouse, if I was in that teacher's shoes and I had 30 and 30 and 30, I wouldn't be as good at it,
Right,
So
right.
somewhere
It's a
in
different
there,
ballgame.
yeah.
Back.
I think part of it though is a science.
Chop chop, boy!
Una más.
Am I being paid for this?
Getting thirsty in here. Anyway, sorry.
No. Relationship building. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I think part of it is a science, part of it is an art. The
Sure.
science part, anybody can do, obviously.
Right.
The art part, as you do the science, your art will catch up. It's like
Right.
some people are good at drawing, and some people aren't. The person who's not good at drawing, if they practice, you'll be able to draw.
Right.
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 Let's have a growth mindset.
Right.
So-
Yeah, look at you. You listened.
Yeah. I suck at drawing.
You know what? The thing about that is that we learned a long time ago. You gotta get an opener and open it or something.
Open it with your teeth.
Open it with your nipple.
Jeez.
I
We had
knew
to
somebody
beat
that could
that
do
out.
that. She was amazing. I'm just kidding.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know that was bad. Just
You
kidding.
know,
Back to that though. We learned a long time ago the key to connecking, particularly with our students. And I say our because I feel like I'm still
Oh, yeah.
there. I'm not there, but I feel like
you're there.
is showing vulnerability,
Ha ha.
showing weakness, because our students come to us with a whole bag full of
Yeah.
bad stuff that
That's
they
one
showed
of my
up.
strategies.
Yeah.
That's in my. I don't know if you'd be ready for it right away. Like the science part, you want to do some positive calls. I do positive calls.
Right.
especially when I get a new one. Because
Right.
as students fill their credits, we do quarters, we'll get
Right.
some new students. So I will find a reason to call home.
Right.
Hey, so and so, I just want to let you know they did a really good job in class on
Right.
something, and then I'll always say like I'm starting to see them smile a lot more,
Yeah.
and I make a connection with the parent or the guardian, and
Who
that,
are generally shocked
Oh, I've had
that they're
them.
getting a positive phone call
All the time.
about their student.
Like I'll try to get to the point quick because I'll go, hey, this is Dan with the Harbor. I teach so and so English. They'll go, yeah.
Yeah, what did they do? I know.
So
Right.
yeah, I've had parents get emotional because they tell me I'm the only time they've ever gotten.
Right.
You know,
And the same thing happens on.
but that's just a strategy,
Sure.
and
Right.
and a lot of times, and I know the parent or guardian's going to tell that kid what I said,
Right.
and a lot of times they won't even say a word about it.
Right. Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But that apology, if I'm not perfect, and anybody that knows me knows that, but so there are times when I apologize to my students where I really should be apologizing,
Right.
but sometimes it's a strategy,
Sure. Because it shows them that you're vulnerable like them,
But
and
I'll
you
pull
make
them
mistakes.
out in the
Right.
hallway, or
Right.
just pull them aside and say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry for, punking you out in front of your friends.
Right.
I
right.
shouldn't have done that.
Right.
I shouldn't have talked to you like that. I just, I felt like I was being disrespected, and
Sure.
I'm sorry, And again, I think for a lot of them, that may be the only time an adult has ever apologized to them, and now they're worthy of an apology. I mean, it never has gone bad, and I
No.
think teachers, and I was the same way. I mean, you show some vulnerability, they can attack.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
But not when you have the relationship.
Yeah,
and they
no.
know. So yeah, I just remember, a few years ago, we had and I didn't talk to him in advance, so I'm not going to say, but who kind of laid out some of his own issues in front of the kids,
Yeah.
and it changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
It changed everything. It changed how the kids looked at him. It changed how they interacted, because up until that point, there was a little bit of a line between, okay, I'm the teacher and I'm the kid.
No, I think
and,
that's a lot, and
then once he was able to kind of share that, then the kids were like, oh, he's a human too, and he's
Yeah.
got things he struggles with, and so do I, and maybe we're more alike than I.
well, and one thing I want to say though is, like, when I say this is stuff that works for me, and I don't like anything peanut butter spread, like this is the way you do it.
Right. But I think generally,
Yeah.
this works for everyone, even in the general ed environment with
Yeah.
30 kids. Because I've seen it, and if you have a teacher in front of 30 kids who shows the human side and shows the ability to connect, even if it's just a few minutes.
I'm not going to be able to sit still, Joel. My back hurts.
Yeah, I understand. That makes all the difference. So, but it's only it's amplified in the alternative setting.
The empathy thing
Right.
works both ways.
Right.
So yeah, the more you know the students, the more you're going to like the students and understand. But the more they know you, and that's the part that can feel and is vulnerable,
Right.
But I think I do, when we do stuff like that music thing, I'll do it
Yep.
and show them.
Right.
They know pretty much everything about my family and everything. So.
Right.
But so the first day of school.
Did you know when the first day of school was, Dan?
Well,
because in the past,
there's
you
two
don't
first
always.
days. There's first day teacher day and there's first day kid day. So
And when did you know it was the
I've
first
never
day
missed a first day kid day ever.
ever? When did you know that it was the first day for teachers? Was it an hour before you were supposed to be there?
No, I
Okay.
knew the day
Because that's the joke
I
that we've been
just
dealing
didn't know
with
what
for
time I had
years
to
and
be
years.
there.
For years and years, we've been dealing with a joke involving you, where
Of course.
and that's where you and I are just polar opposites. Not only did I always know what day we report, I knew it at the beginning of the summer. I knew what the schedule was on the first day we were going to be there, and when you had to show up to this or when you had to show up to this. And you were not like that. You were more of a, yeah, I don't know when I have to go back. Oh, and I'm like, Dan, you have to go back tomorrow. Oh, I do? Oh, okay.
What's the difference?
And then you were there.
Yeah.
You were there. You were ready.
You
didn't need a lot
prefer
of
not to know. Just tell me right before.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you've never missed the first day with kids, and you're always there on point, ready to go.
That's right, baby.
I remember I kind of used to tease our old building principal back when we moved back into the high school that, I used to tell him I literally didn't know if you were going to be there. And he seemed like he bought that, like he was concerned too, like, because the next year after we had this conversation, he approached me and said, now, does Dan know when we have to report? And I said, I think he does. He'll be there when the kids show up. I know that for sure.
There's a lot of people that are laughing right now.
That just used to provoke so much anxiety. But I would just say, don't worry about it. When the kids show up, Dan will be there and he'll be ready.
The crazy thing is, I would prefer, like soon after the 4th of July, I'm ready, Summer sounds great,
right.
But I like school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember when we were driving to Texas a few weeks ago and you spent hours in the car working on your lesson plans and inserting links here and doing this and doing that.
And that's why I love my job so much.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, that's the illusion, though, Dan. I don't know if you're aware of this, but people perceive you to be this cowboy that is just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, but you're extremely organized underneath it all. If I pulled the curtain back too far for you, buddy, I didn't need to.
No, I got my stuff together when it comes to that, man. That's my job.
Right.
So
Right.
my deal this year is I want to have every student really excited about a potential job, career in the future.
Right.
And I want to get, especially the seniors, I want to get them out of the building with someone who does that, because a lot of them have no plan to go to a 4-year traditional college,
right.
And nor should they.
Right.
But there are some really good careers right now. Fastest growing job in Iowa. Do you know what it is?
Wind turbine?
I already told you. Yeah, wind turbine technician.
I read things, Dan. I don't need you to tell me
I'm pretty
things.
sure the only reason you knew is because of me. But anyway.
Okay.
No, but 1 year, 1.5
You know, wind
year
turbines
program.
cause cancer, Dan, if you're too close to them?
Really? They kill bats too.
Somebody high up in our government has said that. But I'm not going to go there because I don't want to alienate any of our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Wind turbine, and once the wind stops blowing, your TV stops working. Did you know that too?
Well, but
I'm just kidding. All right, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do
clean
that.
coal would come out in the wash. Anyway.
Right.
So, a program at DMAC. I'm sure
Sure.
there's other fish in the sea, but
Right.
I know there's one there.
Right.
I think it's 1.5 years. You're hitting the ground running, $25, $30 an hour. Go wherever you want. Travel to some of these kids sounds exciting.
Yeah. Because a lot of them haven't been off
Yep.
the east side of Des Moines or Pleasant Hill or
I've
Altoona
seen
or
it. We'll
Richmond.
bring in a lot of expert speakers. I actually brought in a gentleman. I can't remember his name. He runs the wind farm, one of the wind farms here, and he talked to the students. But when he talked about the travel potential, I saw it with the students. When I see that look with them, and I never know exactly when it's going to happen, but consistently when I talk about someday you guys are going to have something like this, and I hold up a key.
Yeah.
And it's a key, and no one has it but you. And it's to your place,
Right.
like your castle.
Right.
And then you start drawing a map on getting there, and it starts right here, right now. Now the whole dynamic of this has changed, because if they're not doing that 4-year traditional, it's not hard for high school to feel like a prison.
Sure.
And
Right.
you're just
It doesn't
serving your
mean
time.
anything. It's not nothing
You
they're
got
doing
meal time.
is applicable.
Yeah.
Right. But now they have a goal.
Yeah, and now some of those non-cognitive skills that are actually important,
Right.
getting to class on time,
Sure.
Staying awake, stuff like that, you can really start pressing on it,
Right. Right.
and the relationship helps.
Yep. So school, the students come back Friday,
Yeah,
and I've got 2 here in the house that start on Friday. I have a freshman and a junior,
yeah.
and you have a junior and a 7th grader,
Sixth grader.
6th grader.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
All right.
What I was thinking about, though, when I was in a meeting today with all the teachers, and that first day, sometimes it's like, okay, what should we do? We're going to go through all the classroom rules and stuff. And it's
Rules
like,
are, there ain't no rules.
you think about, though, those vivid insecurities you have of going to, I'm sure with you, but for me, that first day of school was always, it always felt very nervous.
I still feel that way. I had 39 first days of school, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 years, I haven't had a first day of school. I've been out for 2 years, but on that first day of school, I feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm checking my pockets for my keys and like, did I let the dogs out or did I let it back in or something's just not quite right in my world. And it's because 39 years of first day of school and those first day jitters and they're ingrained, man. And that's what you're feeling right now.
I just think, and we just gotta, the more we can remember that and keep that in mind when we're planning that first day. So.
Yeah.
And actually, first day, you're going to come and talk to my students.
On the first day?
Yeah,
I thought you said
Friday.
it was next week.
Well, maybe it is next week. No, I think it's this Friday.
Okay. All right, then.
Yeah, I'm organization, not so much.
Yeah.
But back to the relationship.
You know what? It
though.
might even be better if I don't know exactly and you
See?
just tell me. Otherwise, I'll get anxious, man.
There you
I still
go.
get anxious talking in front of people, so...
There you go.
I know, it'd be
Now
better
you
that way.
see why I roll the way I roll.
So, okay, so at the harbor, are we still... We like to have fun, at the harbor. Are you still got any pranks going on? Because I know back in the day,
Yeah.
we used to prank our students a little bit and prank each other.
Oh, remember what we did with Jerry, your dog?
Okay. Jerry was a... Rest in peace, Jerry.
R.I.P.
Wherever he is. He's
probably-
long past. Well, not long, actually, last year. So, but back in the day when the harbor was its own standalone building and we could do a lot of stuff that we couldn't do when we moved to the high school because of dumb rules and people supervising, we brought in our students to the art room where we gather our students for
It's called
a big meeting.
All hands on
All
deck.
hands on deck. And we would do that once or twice a week, and I would talk to the students, and sometimes I'd give them a pep talk, or sometimes we'd talk about a rule that maybe needs to be hammered out a little bit better because there's some respect issue going on or whatever.
And the date was the first
Of April.
day of April.
Right. And so I'm talking to the students, and you're in there, and Beth is in there, and Eric is in there. I think I'm losing the year, but earlier that day, I had met with Brett Handy, our unofficial student resource officer, who is now a lieutenant in the Altoona Police Department. And I arranged with him to keep my dog in his car that morning and to drive to the harbor after I had all the students in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to the students in the room, and keep in mind, the most important part of this is that all of their coats are on the other side of the classroom lined up on nails hanging up.
Mm-hmm.
So here they are, and here are their coats, okay?
Awesome.
So then I'm talking, and then all of a sudden you come to the door, if I recall, and tell me, Joel, they're here,
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
So I leave the classroom, and you go in with the kids, and I don't know what you say to the kids.
What
at that
I
point.
said, you went out and got Jerry to start barking.
Yeah, I haven't got to that, but what'd you say to the kids to kind of keep them? You said something to build their suspense.
I said just sit tight and don't get your phones out right now. Just sit there.
Leave your phones
Do
in your
not get your
pocket.
phones out.
Nope, just keep them in your pocket. So I go to the office where the students can't see me, and there's Brett Handy with my dog Jerry on a leash. Now, people that know Jerry would
Looking
know.
back on this could have went bad.
It could have went bad. on that at the time. And I'm sure there's some former Harbor kids that were there that are listening to this and they're probably going to remember stuff we're not remembering. But Jerry, when you looked at Jerry, you immediately knew he was not a drug dog. He was a bigger sized lab mix, but he was very anxious, had scared look in his eye all the time. Wasn't the brightest
There was
dog.
definitely a diagnosis there
Probably,
for Jerry. We
probably.
don't know what it was,
But he was a good boy. I just want to stress that. He was a good
very
boy.
good boy.
And he was not the brightest dog, but he could speak on command.
Yes.
And so when I went to the office,
And a lot of times when you didn't get the
Right.
command.
I went to the office and Brett was there and all the students were in the room with the door open. And I, quietly said, Jerry, speak. Jerry barks a couple, 3 times. Now, I wasn't in the room with the kids, but I'm told
I was.
that there was a heightened sense of concern
Yeah.
from the students because
Yeah.
back in those days, the drug dog used to go to the old high school once or twice a year, and they would lock down the rooms, and there would be 1 or 2 drug dogs sniffing lockers, and it was a big deal. So that's all in their
Oh,
head
yeah,
at
they're
that point.
freaking. Yeah.
So Dan's in the room, and I walk in, and Handy's got Jerry on a leash. Now, as soon as Jerry comes into the room, 90% of the kids in the room look at him and immediately start smiling. They get it.
He's
They
going,
figure-
like, if you can picture the leash, and the floor wasn't a carpeted floor. What is
It's
like that?
it was laminate floor or linoleum.
And so he's like running in place, going.
He did not look like a professional drug dog. He was not a trained. But while 90% figured it out, there were still 5 or 6 kids that were looking at the window, considering jumping out.
Yeah. I cut the joke short with them real quick. I'm like, hey, it's a joke.
We had
And later
one,
on, I'm like,
We had one student in particular, I remember, after we let him in on the joke, who came to us, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he was so pissed. And they call us by first names, and it's like, Joel, I'm pissed that you did that. And he's like, but I didn't have anything on me. But you shouldn't do that, man. That's wrong, and all this stuff. And like, oh, you don't have anything on you, but you're still upset, huh?
he could have.
Yeah, maybe.
What if he did?
Maybe it just smelled like it because my bros do it or whatever.
Yeah.
So
But anyway,
Yeah.
no, it was pretty. I think they got a kick out of it.
good old Jerry. So
Yeah, things got a little out of hand with the practical jokes among the staff too for a while, but
Right.
I don't even want to talk about it.
yeah, you don't want
because-
to talk about it because I still owe you.
No, you have gotten me back
No,
so
I have
many
not
times.
got you back. I have not got you back.
Ah,
Not got you
I
back.
don't know why I brought it up.
Well, it's out there now.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, Joel had, let's see, he had done some practical jokes on me. Pretty weak, if you ask me.
Nope.
Like,
This was
I
out
had
of
to
the blue. I
call
was a
this
victim.
number
Bullying.
and ask for Ryan and his last initial O. I call and it's the zoo. Okay.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I decide, yeah, you get it now? You did that to me.
Yeah, right.
So I decide to put an ad on Craigslist for some ridiculously low amount for this awesome TV with Joel's phone number. Now,
And you had a picture of it like a sweet TV that I wish that I actually owned
Okay.
at the time, but I didn't own that.
if anybody listening to this knows Joel, and his phone is basically, it's
I'm tethered to my phone. I have a
and
phone
his
addiction. I
phone
get it.
is blown up.
Yep.
And
Calls, texts. When can I come for the TV?
the thing was, that's the first time I ever used Craigslist, ever. And you got to keep that email to take it back off or whatever. And like, it went way longer than I wanted.
It was
to.
days.
No, it was not days. But
At least 2 days.
at one point,
I walk in to the
Hendrickson-
harbor bathroom, and you and Eric are standing at the urinals doing whatever, and my phone rings, and it's somebody asks, and I'm like, God damn it! I don't have a TV for sale. Would you guys stop? And then I see you're back, and you're like Vibrate. Now, I don't know what you're doing there, but I assume you're laughing because you're vibrating.
Well, you didn't know though. Like, I mean,
I didn't.
I told Eric we take this to the grave, man. He's too pissed.
Yeah.
We're not gonna tell him.
Oh, I was pissed.
So fast forward, I think like maybe a week or two, we took harbor students bowling. We like to do some things like that every now and then, things you would do with a family. And it was lunch, and you and I had bet that whoever won the bowling would have to, or the other one would pay for lunch. You beat me by 1 pin, and you were sitting there eating your free hamburger that I had to buy you with your mouth full, bragging about it, and I just couldn't take it. And I said, hey, how'd that thing with the TV work out?
Well,
Our Craigslist.
yes, you know, if
And
a
with
tree
your
falls in the
mouth
forest,
full, you.
Yeah,
I don't think we'd have to beep it out. Oh, you motherfucker.
You know, but you have to tell me. It's no good to do a prank if the person
know.
doesn't know who did
But
it.
you've got me back so many times.
I haven't really,
since
but
then.
I will. I will.
I feel like we're even.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I think we're getting kind of close. I want to remind viewers or listeners and viewers, because now we're on camera.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the camera.
We have an email that you can send us questions. The email is tremendousfatass@gmail.com, and we invite all of our listeners and supporters to email questions about you or I, if you have a question about us, a question about the show, if they have a life question, or maybe a relationship question, because we're experts on all those things.
Yeah.
And we'd be happy to address those on
Yep.
on the show. And we can keep it anonymous if you don't want your name read. You know, if it's sensitive, we would be happy to, respect that. But I did get, I got to put the old man glasses on. I did get an email
You
from
did?
from a listener.
Did they say, dear tremendous fat ass?
No, but they should. I want that.
Okay,
I want that out there.
future emails need to be.
Tremendousfatass@gmail is a legit email address, and please address all questions to greetings, tremendous fat ass.
Yes.
That'll make me laugh. So
Hey, let's get Paco on the camera.
we should.
Oh, he won't come. To the
He doesn't come
basement.
down here. Paco.
He's weird.
We've lived here. Well, we've been here 18 years, and Paco has lived here for almost 8. And Paco has never been in the basement. He won't go down here, even during a tornado
But
warning.
I wonder. Remember, they found him in a construction site.
I know.
I wonder if he was down in.
Probably. But I'm not too worried. If a tornado comes, he'll be the one left
It'd
standing
have
up
to be
there.
a F5 to get his fat ass. Sorry, Paco.
All right. This is the email that
I
I
hate
got.
fat
I'm going
shaming
to
Paco.
kind of synthesize it a little bit. The question is, she says, as a kid who went through so much transition and lived in poverty, and then grew up to lead teachers and kids in an at-risk school setting, as well as raised 2 sons, and I've raised 2 daughters. Maybe she wasn't aware of that, but what are some of the specific actions you've taken to move past the pain of your younger years and spur on others to power through their hard days? Oh,
That's a good one.
okay. Years and years of therapy.
Lots of alcohol.
That's a one. That's one answer, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't know it was. I didn't know that what I was going through was weird until I got older. Mm-hmm. And that's what we find with our kids at the harbor.
Yeah.
What they're going through seems different to us, but to them it's just life. They don't know any different. So all the times I was moving around, I didn't know that was that weird. I didn't know it was that weird. But so to what specific actions? One of the things that I did to spur others on to power through their hard days is I would just share what I went through.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're talking about before.
Well, and that's what you're going to talk a little bit about with the harbor students.
Next week or this week,
At
whatever I'm there.
At some point here in
Right.
the near future.
Right. But I just wanted them, I always felt like if the students knew that I went through some things, and I didn't go through the hardest stuff ever, but, but I just wanted them to know that if I made it, and, they can too. And I just want them to understand that. And so, but it's also that piece about connecting. And I think when you when I would stand up in front of kids and I'd tell them some bad things that happened or some hard things that I went through. It was a way for me to connect with them. And then when I'd have them in the office later because they were being rascals in your classroom, they remember that.
My classroom.
Not in your classroom, but
I take care of my own.
but they remember that. They remember that connection, and it helped kind of,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, there's a sign on my door, you know, when they come in. It says, "I've never met a strong person with an easy past."
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So
Right.
you use that for strength. It's
Yeah.
made you a fantastic father. It made you a great, you know, well.
Beck might disagree.
1 to 10. 1 to
Beck's-
10.
Beck's like,
What do we got? 7?
Today?
Come on,
7.3.
7.3.
A lot of it
good,
depends
Joel.
on what food I have brought into the house that day. I might get a 9 or a 10 if I bring home some McDonald's, but
And the other thing, I don't think it was coincidence that you went into a career field where you
Right.
are helping people.
Right, because I was
because
helped.
that
Right.
that gives you that helps fill holes.
Yep.
Sometimes.
yeah, because I was helped and I wanted to be that for
Yeah.
other people. So, okay, then the last part of the email is how do you manage it?
Did you just
So,
poke
yeah.
yourself in the eye? with
I
your
sure
glasses?
did. How do you
That was
manage it when you
awesome.
come across more privileged, affluent kids of today and they complain about non essentials? It's hard for me not to tell them to suck it up and that they have no idea what real struggle is. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that, you know, what everybody's dealing with is what they're dealing with, and it's important to them. So when, you know, you have a kid that maybe has, you know, from an affluent background, their struggles might not seem that important compared to somebody else, but to them it
And
is.
there's a misconception that here's the deal: depression and anxiety, it really doesn't care what tax bracket you're in.
Nope.
And
Nope.
you know, the thing with a level of mental illness or that type of struggle, it's different than a physical. So for a lot of people, like with this question, if you saw someone in a wheelchair who was from a very affluent, you know, maybe it's a golden wheelchair, but it was time to run the mile on gym day, you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, we don't, until you really understand, I don't think there's too many really just spoiled kids like
Right.
that out there.
And
you
even
know?
those, you
But
don't
those-
really know what they're dealing with.
Those behaviors may look like that, but there's something behind it.
Right.
So
Right. I agree. Well, I want to thank our listener for sending that in, Diana.
Yeah. Thanks,
She's
Diana.
also in education and a wonderful person who I happen to have gone to school
Name a
with.
song with Diana in it.
Dirty Diana.
Oh, my
Sorry,
goodness.
Diana.
Didn't see that one
That's the
coming.
first one that might be the only one I even know.
Yeah.
But Diana's a sweetheart. She's a great girl. So remember, tremendousfatass@gmail.com. We'd love to have your questions or comments. We'd love to address them on the air. We'll do as many as we can.
Hey, you know what? You should tell the Upward Bound prank story. Or should we do that next time?
We're going to
'Cause
do
we're
it on the
talking
next
about-
one. We'll do it on the
Alright.
next one. We're
This is a classic.
It takes
One
a
of the
long time
best.
to tell it, but I do. That's good that we're previewing it because I have some Upward Bound friends
Yeah,
who
have
might
them-
want to hear this, and I might need some
Have 'em
refresher.
come on.
Oh yeah, my buddy Marty in Ankeny, he was
Again,
right
you
there.
may want to check statute of limitations.
Nah, he didn't break any laws really, but so yeah, maybe the next time we'll tell that one. So
All right, cool.
all right, so looks like episode number 2 is in the books. We rocked it, and
Yeah.
I hope, and I hope
Made
people.
that podcast our bitch.
I hope people want to continue to listen, and if not,
Fuck yourself.
fuck yourself. Thanks, Danny.
All right, bro.
All right, bub.
Love ya.
All right, man.